Attention toy lovers! Today's video is all about the shocking news of Toys R Us filing for bankruptcy. The iconic toy store that many of us grew up with is now facing financial troubles that have rocked the industry. In this video, we will cover everything you need to know about the situation, including why the company filed for bankruptcy, what this means for the future of Toys R Us, and the impact it will have on the toy industry as a whole. If you're a fan of Toys R Us or simply interested in the business world, you won't want to miss this informative and eye-opening video. So, let's dive in. Do you know why Toys R Us has such a peculiar name and uses the letter R? While the name obviously suggests that they sell toys, there's more to it than that. The company's founder, Charles Lazarus, is responsible for the name. Lazarus designed and stylized the Toys R Us logo, which featured a backwards R, to give the impression that a child wrote it. In 1978, the company introduced Jeffrey the Giraffe as its mascot, initially known as Dr. Giraffe. The company went public in 1978, and 5 years later, they expanded their offerings with Kids R Us, a clothing store for children. While the name does not explicitly state what they sell, it does signify their target audience, which includes children. If it were up to the majority, probably they would have named the clothing store Clothes R Us, since it follows the same naming format as Toys R Us and still lets people know what they sell. However, most company names don't explicitly describe what they sell, so there were likely other factors contributing to the demise of Toys R Us in 2003, which I won't delve into now. In 1996, Babies R Us was launched, despite having similar naming issues as Kids R Us. In 2005, the company was taken private after a leveraged buyout. In September 2017, Toys R Us filed for bankruptcy due to excessive debt. This is a company that has been around for 60 years and has become a household name in the toy industry. So, how did they accumulate so much debt? That is a real question. Let's work together to figure out how Toys R Us ended up with so much debt. Looking at a graph of their long-term debt over the past 14 years, we can see that something happened between 2005 and 2006. In 2005, the company was taken private through a leveraged buyout. In simple terms, a leveraged buyout is when a company is bought using a lot of debt. For example, if someone wanted to buy Toys R Us for $10 million but only had $1 million, they could take out a loan for the remaining $9 million. However, to get the loan, they would need collateral, something of value that could be used to repay the loan if they could not. In this case, they could use Toys R Us as collateral. Once they got the loan, they would own Toys R Us, but they would also have $9 million in debt. In the case of Toys R Us, the leverage buyout in 2005 cost $6.6 billion, most of which was paid for through loans that went on the company's balance sheet, contributing to their high levels of debt. Therefore, the reason for the current huge debt increase is explained. You may think it sounds risky, and you are correct. It's like taking out a mortgage to buy a house. You need a reliable source of income, or you may lose your home. The same goes for Toys R Us. As long as their cash flow is fine, there's no worry. But once it slows down, they may face trouble. According to Investopedia, leverage buyouts have a notorious history, mainly in the 1980s, when several prominent buyouts led to the eventual bankruptcy of the acquired companies. This was due to a leverage ratio of almost 100% and the large interest payments that the operating cash flows could not meet. This reinforces the point that Toys R Us was taking a big risk with the leverage buyout. In their annual report from a few years ago, Toys R Us themselves stated that their substantial indebtedness could have important consequences, including making it difficult to make payments on the debt as their business may not generate sufficient cash flows from operating activities to meet their debt service obligations. My point is, when the leverage buyout happened 12 years ago, the potential bankruptcy was a known risk. For those on the inside or following their financial condition over the years, this was no surprise. Toys R Us has taken a pay cut and now struggles to make their mortgage payments. However, a second question arises. If everything went according to plan, why can't they make their payments? The answer may not be the internet as our minds always jump to. Although it's happening everywhere, Toys R Us seemingly has a healthy internet presence on their website. They discussed the launch of ToysRUs.com almost 2 decades ago and how it quickly became one of the fastest growing online shopping sites for toys and baby products, with Toys R Us being one of the most visited sites in their category. They also mentioned the acquisition of etoys.com and toys.com in 2007, which further strengthened their online presence. Although they acknowledge that Amazon is a tough competitor, they believe that Toys R Us has not neglected their online component. However, they note that stores like Walmart and Target offer similar products at lower prices and with the convenience of being able to pick them up during routine shopping trips. They suggest that the decline in toy popularity may be a contributing factor to Toys R Us struggles, as children now spend more time playing video games and using apps rather than with traditional toys. Despite these challenges, they believe that Toys R Us is not doing terribly, but the debt resulting from the leverage buyout has amplified their problems. They use the analogy of taking a pay cut and having mortgage payments to explain how this makes the situation devastating. In summary, Toys R Us was a major toy retailer that filed for bankruptcy in September 2017. The company was burdened with a heavy debt load due to a leverage buyout in 2005, competition from online retailers, and changing consumer preferences. Despite attempts to restructure and reorganize, the company was unable to compete and eventually liquidated its remaining stores and assets in 2018. The bankruptcy resulted in the loss of thousands of jobs and the closure of hundreds of stores. And that's a wrap for today's episode. We hope you enjoyed learning about the incredible facts and stories we shared on our channel. If you're hungry for more amazing knowledge, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of our latest videos. Until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and be amazed by the world around you.